Last night's NBA awards had a little bit of everything. Well, okay, it had a little bit of everything and a lot of the Houston Rockets, who took up at least 3 tables by my count, maybe more. And by the way, it does say something cool about how the Rockets' team chemistry has evolved. A team that only 2 seasons ago was the poster child, right, for 1-2-3 Cancun, has turned into a club where so many teammates wanted to come out to support James Harden winning MVP. That's something. Harden himself went with 2 of the night's big trends, the ever-popular use of sunglasses indoors at night, and the patterned suit, which got a real workout on the red carpet from everyone from Chris Paul to Victor Oladipo. Personally, I'm giving the Outfit of the Night award to Nick Young on the basis of his explanation alone, because after winning the title, as you can see, Nick had promised no shirts all summer. So apparently, after someone told him, no, Swaggy, you in fact cannot come to a formal sit-down dinner wearing nothing but your chest hair, this was his compromise. Lovely. Now, once the ceremony itself started, we actually got some poignant moments. I talked on the show yesterday about Oscar Robertson's battles with the NBA over the years. So the NBA turning around and not only honoring him last night, but actually extensively in the ceremony, highlighting the times Oscar fought and beat the league office in his quest for player rights and benefits. Well, that shows some serious grace. Oscar then made it all even more meaningful as he got on stage and talked about personal sacrifice, a theme that we would see more than once through the evening. Dikembe Mutombo won the Craig Sager Award for his truly life-saving work in the DRC and all across his native Africa. Jamal Crawford won the Teammate Award. Charles Barkley spoke pretty eloquently about the legends of the game, which, of course, Bill Russell then turned into a rallying cry for all the people who've ever wanted to make an obscene gesture at Chuck. So that was nice. He's a leader. As for the awkward moments, well, Dwayne Casey actually isn't the first guy to win Coach of the Year the same season his team has fired him, but it's never happened so publicly before, on a stage, during primetime, being telecast to millions. And by the way, there's certainly room to think that Casey should have won this award and also think that Toronto was justified in firing him. The award, after all, is based on and voted for after the regular season. Casey was let go by the Raptors for his performance during the playoffs. Those are 2 different things, and they certainly highlight the issue with having this award show. I mean, the timing is undeniably weird, with the awards being given out nearly 3 months after the thing they're being awarded for has ended. I'm not sure there is a fix to this if you want to keep having an actual show. It's not like you could gather the NBA's biggest stars in one place right after the regular season, right before the playoffs. There's not enough room for that. So for now, it seems we're going to have to live with these kinds of inconsistencies. James Harden certainly didn't seem to be bothered by it as he wrapped up his MVP speech with the promise to, quote, see you here next year. It's a bold statement, but hey, it was that kind of night. And guys, that is hardly the only bold statement that James Harden made backstage when he was talking to the press. He was asked about the Rockets going after big free agents like LeBron this summer. His response was, quote, we were half away from the finals. I don't think there's a big piece we need to bring or take away. We're great where we are. Our focus is only getting healthier. So, Zach, is he saying that because he's right? They actually don't need another piece for next season? Or is he saying that because he is not particularly interested in LeBron James coming and taking his team, because we know any team LeBron comes to becomes LeBron's team?
I don't know why he's saying it, but he's both right and a little bit wrong. Like, he's right that they were almost in the finals. I'm one of the people who believes that, like, the Warriors were actually a little frazzled, a little rattled. However, they're still the Warriors. They're one of the greatest teams of all time, and the Rockets could, yes, use another piece. You should try to get everybody you can to beat that team, because no one's beaten them in the playoffs yet since they got KD.
Yeah, and I mean, that was their window. They missed their window last year. You got to think, Iguodala was missing. Steph was a little hobbled. If they were going to win, it would have had to been last year. So now, of course, they need another piece. Maybe it's a smart move, because I don't know if they can even afford LeBron to come in and play. So maybe he's just rallying the troops and saying, we got what we got.
Oh, we don't need it.
No, we're not getting them anyways. Come on.
I mean, it's interesting to see sort of the power balance here. Part of what makes the Warriors so special is that they can put all those egos on one team.
Yes.
And the reason why that is special is because a lot of teams and a lot of guys maybe wouldn't or couldn't do it. That's not a knock on them, but Ryan, there's definitely an alpha dog on each team, right? You don't necessarily want a bunch of other alpha dogs in there.
Well, if you look at Golden State, I always look at Steph. and he's the alpha on that team, and not necessarily scoring-wise, but he was willing to take a back seat, essentially, to KD and let KD come in and shine and be the best that he can be. And I've been in situations where you assemble talent, and those guys don't always mix or get along, and you don't have the humility of a Steph Curry to make that thing work.
Well, the exceptional thing about the Warriors has always been the shooting, right? I mean, they have the 2 greatest shooters of all time, literally, and a guy who's probably in the top 10 greatest shooters of all time.
Yes,
Guys who are uniquely able to be super effective away from the ball and score tons of points without having to dominate the ball. That's very rare.
Klay Thompson, actually, I think they've clocked it right, needs the ball in his hands for a third of a second before
He
he
doesn't need
shoots
to
it.
dribble, period.
Right.
Like, if Klay Thompson doesn't dribble, like, that's fine
Doesn't
for
matter.
the entire game.
Right. My point is, though, that the Warriors are exceptional, and we always sort of throw that out, but they're exceptional for a reason, because it's really hard.
Yes.
And so, assembling that roster to begin with is really hard, and is thanks to the cap spike and a bunch of other circumstances. But it's also really hard to have all those types of guys on one team. I'm curious whether James Harden really wants a player like that on his team. But the truth is, as you point out, it would be hard for them to get a guy like that anyway, either in recruiting or cap gymnastics. So maybe he's just sort of setting the bar there.
They gotta figure out Ariza and Bob Mute. Like, they have guys, the holdover guys that were really important to them that are also free agents this summer.
The thing to remember, too, about every team is you never get to keep your team, because every player on that roster ages a year. And so, therefore, you are never running it back with the exact team that you had. And when you were talking about guys who maybe do have injury issues, the fact that they're getting a year older, that could be a factor. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Rockets.